Hello all of you beautiful people, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and here's the thing, when it comes to horror video games, you kind of know what you're gonna be getting, right? A lot of jump scares, a lot of trouser-filling moments, and of course, enemies that are absolutely disgusting. But sometimes this sort of creepy factor bleeds into games that you just wouldn't expect, and that's what we're here to talk about today. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video games that are far creepier than they look. Number 10. Cult of the Lamb. Even the most ardent fans of roguelikes and roguelites would have to admit that, we've seen a whole heaping heck of a lot of the genre in recent years. The best example of these titles are the ones that boast something unique yet valuable, such as the deep and adaptive story of Hades. Cult of the Lamb from Massive Monster certainly offers something gripping all its own, an incredibly adorable aesthetic juxtaposed with grim Lovecraftian tentacle horror. And here the player takes control of the Lamb on their quest to free the one who waits by defeating the 4 bishops that bind this powerful being. Runs take a familiar form, as the player nabs a randomly generated weapon and spell, then proceeds through various rooms collecting different buffs and bonuses and defeating foes in hack-and-slash fashion. But in between runs, the Lamb must develop a growing cult. Here the game takes a kind of Animal Crossing / Don't Starve approach, as buildings and other valuable things are crafted and placed. Your cult works for you, listens to your sermons, and otherwise powers you up in preparation for future runs. The two unique styles of gameplay complement each other very well, but what's uniquely striking about Cult of the Lamb is how horrifying it would be without its super cute art style. I mean, cult members age and die and can be harvested for meat, sacrificed to a hideous tentacle god, and made to fight to the death. Unlocking the cannibal perk so your entire crew are now totally fine gulping down their former friends, well, it definitely is a choice to say the least. Number 9. The PIKMIN series. The PIKMIN series began with the GameCube exclusive original in 2001. It's another example of Nintendo's uncanny ability to take a familiar genre and put a brightly coloured, family-friendly, fun-focused spin on it, kind of like Splatoon did with shooting. In this case, the Pikmin titles are RTS games that revolve around leading the titular plant-like creatures to achieve your objective. Different species have different abilities, such as blue Pikmin that can travel freely through water. And the trick is in building your army and keeping it varied so that when you reach certain areas, you can defeat particular foes and collect the items you need to progress. It's whimsical, creative, and an enjoyable experience throughout, and you're sure to be captivated by the charm of these little creatures. Sadly, you shouldn't get too attached to them. They're ultimately expendable resources, as in many other RTS titles. Enemies will gleefully eat them as they screech, they'll be set on fire, they'll struggle and drown if they fall in water, they'll become living electricity conductors, and there's even a heartbreaking little scene at the end of an in-game day that shows any Pikmin that haven't been brought back to safety being eaten. It's oddly graphic and therefore pretty grim. Number 8. CUPHEAD. CUPHEAD has proven to be something of a smash hit since its launch in 2017. With its sublime classic Disney-esque art and animation coupled with the finely crafted boss rush action, it continues to strike a chord with many. With its bright and colourful action, CUPHEAD looks, bright and colourful and therefore like a fun and harmless adventure. And while it is some of these things, it's also far darker than many newcomers would have expected. At its core, it's the story of CUPHEAD and Mugman trying to save their souls from the devil, having gambled them away. But in order to do so, they have to claim the souls of others in a sort of exchange. And some of the enemies, including the devil himself, naturally play on this theme, as do the locales that our heroes find themselves in. So yeah, you're basically a spirit bounty hunter, and that's not really painting you in a good light. Number 7. Bloodborne. Now granted, Bloodborne definitely appears to be a title that wears its creepiness on its sleeve from the off, with its drab, Victorian-inspired setting, air of horrifying mystery, and the blood-dripping werewolf beasts that try to rend your flesh with its claws at about 8 seconds in. It definitely seems like you know what you're in for with this From Software classic. But what Bloodborne does so brilliantly though is slowly introduce an insidious supernatural horror to proceedings. As the game opens up, it becomes clear that something Lovecraftian, something otherworldly lurks beneath the surface. This is no cliched, dark and smoky Jack the Ripper tinged horror experience. It's more subtle and therefore more affecting for it. As the player collects insight, more of the true, distorting and horrifying nature of things is finally revealed to them. This enigmatic tale of the great ones, well, it is sure one heck of a ride. Number 6. The POKÉMON series. Now yes, it's certainly true that the concept of raising creatures for the purpose of battling them is deeply disturbing, but by and large though, Pokémon is one of the most popular and beloved family-friendly franchises in recent memory. But there's an awful lot more going on beneath the surface though. The EVs, IVs and other ins and outs of competitive battling are deceptively deep, but what else is going on beneath the surface? Well, apparently Driftblim is carrying away people and stealing their souls, that's bloody what. The raw material for the gas inside its body is souls. When the body starts to deflate, it's thought to carry away people and Pokémon. And that comes from Pokémon Ultra Moon's Pokédex. Famously, earlier in the series, a child reportedly woke up as a Kadabra, whatever the connotations of that might be, and there are all manner of other ghastly things hidden away in the Pokédex entries. A huge, adorable, cuddly bear Pokémon's entry wouldn't be horrifying though, right? I mean, we all love Beware, right? What's that? This Pokémon has a habit of hugging its companions. Many trainers have left this world after their spines were squashed by its hug? Oh dear. Number 5, Epic Mickey. Now, of course, Disney has never been afraid to sneak in some distinctively creepy characters, places, and references across their tenure, and while the company may be defined by the adorable likes of Mickey Mouse and provide rather more palatable takes on fairy tales than other grim originals, things definitely do get creepy around here at times. Take, for example, Junction Point Studios' 2010 Wii release, Epic Mickey, which may not be directly frightening perhaps, but there's a Nightmare Before Christmas-esque vibe of the macabre and bizarre about this world. In this inspired platformer, Mickey finds himself in the Wasteland, a grim and creepy place where essentially obscure characters languish. The shadow blot is always a terrifying foe to tangle with, and the prominent paintbrush-wielding antics are reminiscent of Super Mario Sunshine. But unlike that bright and sun-kissed title, however, Epic Mickey, well, it has a surprisingly dark edge. Number 4, the Tomb Raider series. Now, the Tomb Raider titles aren't exactly the most family-friendly, that's true. Our poor Lara Croft can perish in all kinds of grisly ways during her adventures, from being shot to being impaled and plummeting off cliffs. It's just par for the course when you're an Indiana Jones-esque raider of tombs. So grisly, yes, but creepy isn't exactly the territory that the games are known to venture into. But they certainly do though, as the Atlanteans make clear. These hideous creatures would give H.P. Lovecraft and Tim Burton nightmares. With their lack of flesh and vicious teeth, they seem somewhat out of place in the series titles, notably Tomb Raider Anniversary and Tomb Raider Unfinished Business. Their power and resilience makes them foes that are horrifying to encounter for more reasons than one. The pinnacle of ghastliness, though, is the giant Atlantean in the original title, which is known as the Abomination in the Anniversary Edition, which is a formidable boss battle that takes place in the Great Pyramid. I mean, just look at this thing. Yeesh. Number 3, Max Payne. Max Payne, to the untrained eye, is a visceral and innovative action series. It's a pioneer of Matrix bullet time-esque sequences that have appeared in infinite numbers of action titles since. And the series is all of these things, it's true, but there's another element of Max Payne that's often underappreciated, and that's the psychological creepiness that sneaks in. In Max Payne and its sequel, our tormented anti-hero experiences frightening sequences known as nightmares. In these, he is haunted by the horrors from his past, such as the deaths of his family, as he walks through a grisly maze of blood and other awful things. The scenes are few and far between, but very jarring. They're kind of like the Silent Hill flavoured topping on the series' gunslinging pizza, which makes for a delicious but sometimes very horrifying experience. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. In the annals of the Legend of Zelda history, Ocarina of Time has somewhat overshadowed follow-up Majora's Mask. Decades of praise and Best Game Ever Made nominations will definitely do that for a game's ego after all. The latter title, however, has become legendary in the community for the darkness that lies at its depths. It's something of a black sheep of the family in that regard, with the overriding themes of impending doom and time shenanigans that ensue. While the Zelda series often embodies that spirit of whimsical adventure, there's something more than that below the surface here. The Skull Kid's devious antics, the level design and the NPC themselves that all speak of something stranger, darker and more frightening than in Majora's Mask, meant that many players were struck by this tonal shift and left thoroughly creeped out as a result. And number 1, Final Fantasy VIII. Final Fantasy VIII, as any series fan will tell you, is something of a controversial entry. As well regarded as the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 era of Final Fantasy is, Squall Leonhardt's Grand Adventure is a real anomaly. With its junction system, its magic spells limited by numbered uses rather than MP and so forth, the developers certainly were switching things up with this one. The plot too definitely takes some singularly strange and even distinctly chilling turns. For example, to close out Disc 1, as players of the original PlayStation version will remember, Squall Squall and his team engage in their first battle against the sorceress Adea. Their mission is a complete and utter failure, because their target is very much not assassinated, and she skewers Squall with her ultimate magical attack, Ice Strike, leaving him to fall to his doom. Though this occurs in a cutscene and our hero is captured by enemy forces, he's very much alive. And this raises one major question. How was he not killed? And there's a theory here that he actually might have been, and that the fleeting sight of the faceless Squall in a cutscene much later on lent a lot of fuel to this fanciful fire, as did all of the themes that followed this moment in the game, such as eerie locales, and dark and frightening moments of time compressions and harrowing memories, plus the fact that all of the main cast ended up being from the same orphanage. Like, stuff like that seems so fanciful compared to what we experienced before, leading a lot of weight to the Squall is dead theory. But whether or not it's true is a completely different matter, but one thing that we all know is, it's damn creepy. And there we go, my friends, those were 10 video games far creepier than they first appear. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules, so you can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, or you can swing by Instagram, where it's the same handle, RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Hope you're treating yourself well with love and respect, my friend, because you deserve all the best things in life, alright? You deserve love, happiness, and success, and don't let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise. Now go out there and absolutely smash your life goals today. I believe in ya. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.